recording started, I guess. Okay, so let's start the. This is like not a very like formal kind of mock interview, but just like uh, doing some assessment. You know, how much you understand the concept. And okay, so can you tell me that why people are now using React.js instead of plain JavaScript?
Sir, React.js is making the life or coding easier. Uh,
Okay, how?
before before JavaScript, we have
Hmm.
to put every remedy, every recipe or everything
Hmm.
from starting to ending. Here in React.js, we have to just assign the task to React, and it will complete
Can
and
you
ease
can
the.
you give any concrete example that this was very complex using plain JavaScript and now it is easy using React.js?
Yes, sir. Here we have to, in JavaScript, plain JavaScript, we have to create the HTML tags, and
Hmm.
after that, we have
Hmm.
to put the data in that tag. But here we have
Hmm.
to, using JSX, just have to
Okay.
create that tag, HTML tag, and
Hmm.
it will transform that into JavaScript, and that will
Hmm.
show on the browser.
But if we see in plain JavaScript also you have to used to have tags. In React also you have tags, correct? Then what
Yes,
is the
sir.
difference between both the tags? How it is easy in JavaScript? Sorry, in React.
There we have to write the coding to create that tag dot document dot element, and here
Hmm.
those uh,
Hmm.
fundamental coding we don't have to write. Just have to create using a open bracket tag. Suppose we have to open an
Hmm.
HTML H1 tag. We have to
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
keep it in the fragments like H1 and close it with the H1. And there we can't write. We have to.
Uh, no, so there would be some the way the React JS is designed, it would be simpler to do the changes here. So can you give any one example and compare to what I can say the real the old way and the new way? Any one simple example can you give that it used to be complex and now it is very easy? So I can give you the hint. Just think from this perspective that earlier you used to access the real DOM. Okay, now you don't have to access the real DOM. Okay, so now just think how earlier things were defined. Now in React, you are not using real DOM. Then how you're manipulating that real DOM? If you're not using real DOM, then how the things are getting rendered on the real DOM? How that is happening? Are you able to hear me, Sachin? I guess network. Let me disconnect Sachin and yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Uh,
there was a network issue. I switched the network.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Yeah. So my question was that I'm giving you the hint. You know, earlier we used to directly manipulate the real DOM. In React.js, we don't directly manipulate the real DOM. But how it is possible that without manipulating the real DOM, also we are able to like ultimately what we are doing React is ultimately displayed or rendered on the real DOM only, correct? So how that is getting possible? Like how what is the not architecture I will say, what is the technology behind React.js that makes our life so easy? What is happening behind the background?
Sir, in a simple word, we can say previously we were cooking the food on my own, and later
Hmm.
we hired a
Hmm.
chef to come
Hmm.
make the food. And here the
Okay.
chef is replaced by chef is that is
Hmm.
um, JSX.
React. JSX. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That creates the food that we don't have to care how much salt or how much
Hmm.
sugar we have
Hmm.
to put in that
Hmm.
recipe. We have to
Hmm.
just tell him
Hmm.
what to make and he will give us
Hmm.
the food. That
Yeah,
is
but
the way.
what you're telling is correct. Is absolutely correct. It is you're telling at a high level, correct? At high level, this is what happens, and this is JSX's life making it level easy. So I'm not going to JSX level. I am going to one more level up. Okay, I'm giving a hint, and this is hint because you still didn't answer my the very first question why we are using React. So when we say component. What do you mean by component in React?
Components, it's the fundamental smallest part in the React
Hmm.
that constitute a whole DOM.
No. So, like in React, how many components we can have in an application, and how it is, why we need component in React first of all, like why we need component.
Sir, component is just making a small assembly that will make a whole project. That will ease the work to create a mess of creating a whole. Suppose
Got it. Got it. Got it. So now I again come back to my original first question that now think I'm giving all these hints. Now think from component point of view and now think from real DOM point of view. In a plain just we used to directly access the real DOM. Now, what is the advantage when you follow this component style?
if
Yes.
you follow the component
Huh.
style, every component has a different task.
No, no. I am no. Just think. No. Just think from real DOM point of view. That let's suppose we have a very big page. We have a lot of HTML tags and all those things, and we have to access some elements. You know, we have to modify that thing, update that thing. You know. Now compare that to the React way of doing things, where we are dealing with the components. So what is the key difference between the both real DOM and component wise? What is the main difference between these two?
So in real DOM, we were not creating those components. Every coding
No, no.
where
So I will give you not the answer, but in a hint only that in real DOM, if you have to use plain JavaScript, either you have to use either you have to reach to that element that okay this element is present in which part of the DOM. Correct? DOM means which page of the document, HTML document. You know? Suppose we have a large document, we have hundred of tags. So we have to traverse through the DOM tree to get to that element. First of all, we don't know. We have to go like we have to do okay document dot get element by ID. Then we have to say okay go to the parent, go to the child, then child of child. Okay, we have to traverse like that. It is a tree structure, है ना? Parent, then child of child, grandchild, and then siblings. So this is like a tree structure. We deal with this thing. But do you deal with the same way of styling component?
no sir, we directly move there.
Why? Because the component, see, when you deal at the component level, the component doesn't know na, where it is a part of which part of the DOM, correct? It doesn't care.
Yes, sir.
The component doesn't care. You put that component to the root or to anywhere, it doesn't matter to them. So component is like a basic unit, which is we can say it is in a kind of a encapsulated unit where we don't need to worry about that okay, this component will render in which part of the DOM. That is up to the developer how they want to use the component in which part of the DOM tree. Okay, using the component device structure, correct? In the React way. So now it is very simple that you don't have to, writing code at only one place component and the entire functionality is in the entire in that component, correct? You can do everything in one component without need to worry that this component will be used in which DOM part and doesn't matter. For example, let's suppose you use a form. Now you have written a code of the form that okay,
Yes, sir.
it will take the input and it will have a radio buttons and all those things. You can use that form anywhere in the application sorry, not application, anywhere in the document, real DOM. It can be a root, it can be anywhere. You can use that component multiple times also. Doesn't matter. You don't have to go and find now where at which place it is mounted in the real DOM. Correct. You don't have to worry. That is the main advantage of using React.js, or even if you go with AngularJS, any library which is modern JavaScript library in framework. That is the advantage that you don't have to deal with the real DOM. In Angular also, if you go, you don't have to deal with the real DOM. Component is the answer, because component is like it's a functionality in itself. Correct? It's a unit in itself. It is having a complete functionality. You can have entire React tab in a single component done, and you can have lot of different components which will play its part. So that should be your answer when somebody asks you this thing. You should answer this thing that see, in real DOM we have to go and find. It is a it is ultimately a DOM tree. It is a tree. It has a tree structure, that root, then branches, then multiple child, then child has multiple childs. You will go through the tree and find where that element is there. Correct? That is the problem with dealing with the real DOM. But if when you deal with virtual DOM or React style, you are basically dealing with components, and components make it super easy to do the anything you want to do, because you don't have to worry about where your real DOM is going to display. So you don't have to worry about that. That is the advantage. So if anybody asks you this question, to answer this thing, you to give a proper example. You can give. Let's suppose you make a table component, reusable table component. Okay, it's and any you can use it anywhere in an application. Doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about okay the physical location, the physical mounting on the real DOM. You don't have to worry about that thing. Okay, so fine, no problem. Okay, now coming to next question. So we have asked two questions. One was based on this thing, that what is the difference between React and this, and second is component. Now coming to one more. Just give me a moment. Um what is the difference between a functional component and functional component which you use with hooks? What is the difference between both?
Function component.
What is a functional component?
Sir, uh, any function, sir,
Hmm.
if we differentiate the basics of React, it was divided into class-based and function-based. And component that doesn't carry the inbuilt state life cycle for
So
the
no, no. So
function component.
I am not interested in the definition. Just give me example that you have used function component to like make this some component, and you have not used function component. Can you give an example?
Yes, sir. When we were just creating a function to add the given element
Hmm?
and without managing any state,
Hmm?
that is the function component. And if we
Yeah,
are using hooks like state or use effect to
hmm.
render
Yeah,
the every,
yeah,
that
but
will
that
be a
is again you're going to the basics definition. I want an example that okay, in this case you are going to use function component, or you have used function component, and in this case you will going to use hooks. Any one example can you just think of? Try to the function component is nothing but a function itself, and ultimately you give the input, you get the output. Simple, no? It you give the input in form of props, and it renders something. It's nothing but a function. Just think where we have used function component. Just props, no state. Using the props, you display whatever displayed in the props. That's it.
Yes, sir. So if we create a function just to iterate an array,
Hmm.
that will be also
Correct. That is perfectly correct. But can you think of any example? Anything which is a very simple thing, and where we don't need much of the modifying the state and all those things. Very simple. Just take the input and like array of object, something like that, and displaying the data. Simple, something like that.
so like map function.
The map is a function now, but from component point of view, this thing, where can you have used, or where I'm not sure, you must have used, or where we can use that pure function component. Can I give? Okay, let me give you a hint. Can we define menu? Suppose we are making a page. Can we define the menu as a functional component? Just
Menu
think
means
menu.
it's
Menu means the top menu, left menu. It comes. No?
it's
Can we
navigation
simply
bar.
navigation bar? Yeah. Can we think? Can we suppose you to put all the menu items in one component? So will it proper to use function component there? Do you think that?
Yes, sir. We have to just pass the props. It will show the changes.
Correct. You just pass the props, okay, and it will display. Not through the engine, it will display the JSX, or it will display the value, whatever we want, you know, the render. So suppose menu is what? Some items, okay? Let's suppose home page, about me page. There are lot of pages, correct? So we can simply define in a form of function component. We can pass the, let's suppose you have to define only three menus, or three menu item in the menu. Okay, it may see. Let's suppose you are an admin. We suppose you have done some project. You are an admin. I am a employee. So we will not see the same menu items, no, because admin will have different menu, and this will have different menu. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
uh, so let's suppose what I will say. Mm, yeah. So let's suppose we can pass the menu items as a props to the menu component. Okay. Let's suppose. What happened? Okay, sorry. So, so let's suppose we have a menu. Menu is a common component, and we can reuse that component for admin role, and let's suppose employee role or user role. Okay, how we can do is we can simply do what I can say. We can simply do what I can say. Just pass the props. Okay, let's suppose the whatever the menu items, we can pass it from parent component, and the menu component will just display that. Simple. So this kind of simple components can be defined as a simple function component. We don't need to use of it and use the state and all those things. Why we need? Because we don't need to update the state. No, once it is there, it's there. Simple.
So
Take the input. Huh.
HOC can be considered as a simple
No, no,
function.
no, no. That is a different. HOC is a different concept. We will talk about that later. This is simple. This is taking the input, displaying the output. Suppose you display you we pass three props, it will display three props, three menu items. If it pass five items, it will display five items. This as an example. Or suppose we change the text. We change the text of the menu or link of the menu, whatever we will give it, it will display it. No, that is the job of the that component, correct? Whatever. I'll give a more simple example. Suppose you're making a table component. In table is a what is table? Table is collection of multiple rows. So all those rows, TR component, we can make as a function component. This table row will also display what number of columns. Okay, and we can pass that as a, so these things we can easily display using function component. So I will encourage you to go and practice something. Try to use function component more and more. And your approach should be like that. Always try to start with the functional component. Don't use hooks. Hooks will be used when, okay, the function component is not able to serve your purpose. If you think that function component is not good enough, then okay, then I understand you can go and use hooks. But if it is a simple thing, just taking the props and displaying it, then I don't think you need hooks and anything. No, you can directly use the function component and display it. Okay, so use this thing. You use, always try to use this thing. And yeah, okay, okay, fine. Now I will go to, okay. So so what is a promise in JavaScript? Have you used promise in JavaScript?
Yes, sir, I studied, but it didn't. Promise is something that it will be executed
Mhm.
or not. It will just give a,
Mhm.
while using a fetch, we were giving a promise that if it
Okay.
will be executed, that something will be done.
No, no.
If it
So
will not,
I will also, okay. So let's suppose we are not using promise. Suppose, you know, then what do you think is the
substitute.
mm, no substitute, the old way. Promise is a new thing which is was introduced in ES6. Okay, it is a part of ES6. No, before ES6 was, what was the earlier approach? How we used to deal with without promise?
If or else,
No, not if else.
eternity
No, no,
operator.
no. So have you heard of a concept called have you heard of this term, callback hell?
Yes, sir.
Any idea what is that?
So creating too much callback function, and it looks
Okay.
like a head-like
Mhm.
structure, arrow-like.
So why, what is the use case, or what is the scenario where we get those kind of things like callback hell and all those things? What is those?
We are repeatedly calling back a
No,
child
no.
to
So
come.
I want a concrete example again. Without example, how can I understand? You give me example, no? So just think that callback hell is the problem which is solved by using promise. Because if you, in your React, we use either fetch or we use that, what is that, XIOS, correct? So both is ultimately in a way promise only. Fetch is also a kind of promise. Okay, and if you use promise, then if you know, you use the dot then operator, correct? Dot then method is there, है ना? So there's something advantage. So just uh, study more about that thing, that okay, you don't have to go too much, but basics you have to have an idea that okay, earlier what was the, how we used to do, and now what is the difference, okay, between ES5 and ES6. Okay, fine. Okay, now the last question, we are about to finish. Last question I'll ask you. What is lexical scope in JavaScript?
So lexical scoping was something that uh, parents can operate. Parents can't take the
Mhm.
data from the child, but child can take the data from parents.
I can say data. You should not say data, but it can refer to that variables.
Sure.
Okay, you can say it can refer to those variables. Okay, but uh, yeah, you are. Can you give an example where a lexical scope comes into picture? Any example? If you can share a screen and show me some code, that is also fine. Like up to you, how you want to, or you can type some code snippet and say, okay, this is a lexical scope. That is also fine. We'll stop now. We are about to finish 30 minutes.
Sir, I didn't give the
Hmm.
space. Function is like that.
No problem, no problem. So let a console let function. Okay, function one. Okay, calling the function one and function defining let a console function two. Okay, function two is the inner function, है ना? So in that case, okay. So let me copy this and I will open Notepad. Okay. So
So in their first function, console log 6, it was console log A, not 6. I wrote by mistake.
no problem. So I am sharing my screen. So if you see, this is the okay. Now function two finding body starts and then you're defining some line. Okay. Now tell me which what is lexical scope here? Huh?
Sir, another sir curly bracket is missing.
Yeah. Fine. Tell me.
And left C equal to 5, I put comma.
C equal to 5 and then
Then I put by mistake comma.
no
And
problem. Fine. That is fine. Hmm.
here function 1 is the parent function and function 2 is the child function. And
Okay.
we called function 1 in the output, but
Hmm.
there it will show only console log. So console
Hmm.
log 6, replace it with A. Yeah, that one. And it will show only console log A equal to 6 and C
Hmm.
will not be defined because it is fetching from
Okay.
the child. But if we call
Okay.
in function 2, it will show both
Hmm.
function console log A and console log C because it has a power to get the variable from the
From the
parents.
lexical scope, from the outer scope. So lexical scope is nothing but the outer scope. That's it. है ना?
Yes, sir.
Like in suppose your function is defined in some other function, then that is nothing but your lexical scope, and it will refer to that. But actually, to be honest, है ना? The, a variable can have only two scope. Do you know that? Only
Yes,
two
sir.
scope. What is the two scope?
Sir, current and global.
Local and global. Okay, local and global. Now, suppose C A is not defined here. So, what is the scope of A?
Global.
It's not global. That is the concept here, no? That is the concept here. That A is we are able to display the A, but A is not what I will say global. Okay,
Global to the function too, sir.
no, that is wrong to say. Global means it is completely global everywhere. We can have one more nested function. So function 2 is a nested function inside. It is nested inside f function 1. You can have n layer of nested function, no problem. But global means a variable is available everywhere. It is not defined in a particular function. Simple meaning of global function. And local is that it is defined inside a function. A is a local variable, no problem. C is a local variable, no problem. Local to this function, function 2, and this A is local to this function 1. Okay.
Yes.
But you're trying to access a local variable A, which is defined in the outer scope. Okay,
Yes.
using lexic. So that concept is different. That is not because of the it is global to no, don't confuse that. So the way lexical scope work is this is a concept. Do you know closer?
Yes, sir. User
So
scope
I
check.
will, yeah, closer. So just go and you can revisit this concept. This is this is available here just because of the concept known as closure. Because let me do one thing. Suppose I say return function 2. When I do this thing, I can do na.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then let's suppose I say okay where function 2 equal to this. So I can say just I will say return value ret. So return value is a function, and I can call that function. I can call this ret. So if I call this ret, because ret is nothing but a function fn2,
Yes,
I
sir.
can see C is defined locally, so C will be displayed, but A will be also displayed.
Yes, sir.
But then from where A is coming? Let me show you. Suppose I do this thing. This is output. I go here and I go in this. What is that? What is happening? Oh, sorry. I go in the aspect. In the aspect, I can go in the console and console. I can clear the console. I can paste it here. If you paste the value, bracket missing. Where is the bracket missing? Fn. Just one minute. Where is the bracket missing? The space is coming. RT. Let a function defined here. Ends here. Okay, sorry. So it has to be a new line. Otherwise, it has to be semicolon. Otherwise, it will not understand. So it has to be new line. Okay. Return. Yeah. Function one is defined. Function one defined from here to here. Function two defined from here to here. Okay. Let me try now. See, I will clear this thing. Again, try. Uncaught error, unexpected line number 10. Function 1. A equal to 6. Console.log. Function curly braces. What is one? Okay. Because you have to define function, no? Keyword function name. Function, function, function. Then here also on not click on. We have forgot to. hide the function keyword. Now if I go in the console, clear this up, and now I try this thing, it will work. C is not defined. It is saying C is not defined at function 1. Yes, it is. I will remove that. So C is not defined. I will remove this. Okay. Let's clear this thing and then again paste it. You see, it is printing 6
Yes, sir.
from this one, outer one. Again, it prints 6. Correct. Now,
Yes, sir.
no, sorry. Yeah. Again, it prints 6. Okay. When we call function 1, it prints A. And after it returns RET, we again call this. No? So it prints the 6 again and then 5. So how does it remember A? Through the concept of closure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Through the concept of closure. Okay. So that is how it will do. Okay. So that is how it will do. Okay. So yeah, that this is just go and study this concepts. Okay. And yeah, so let me stop the recording for now. So today we are good. Let me stop the recording.